See? Now you got infected with the DI bug. What you DIing for like this?
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Okay, you want to hit them back with a DI. You're frustrated that you're getting hit with a DI. You want to get out that frustration. Then win the game. Stop trying to DI them back like this is going to give you some sort of satisfaction. Like, haha, I got them, brother. No, because you're gonna lose. Listen, I see the writing on the wall. You're gonna lose. This option is going to cause you to lose more than it's going to cause you to win. You want this option? We need to cut it out. And if we're only using this option because we were frustrated, we need to gain some mental fortitude, okay? And not give them the opportunity to punish us for free. So it took a while for us to get back into fighting action, but we're finally back in the new year with some more coaching. Okay, so let's start off with this initial interaction here. So after your low for drive rush here, you go for steady medium punch, which is cool. All right, it is what it is. Sometimes going for jab is a little bit better, but after this instance, what are your choices, right? Afterwards, you may be inclined to go for a very safe option, like going for a stand jab into stand leg kick, because if you're successful, then you get a route, right? You push them back, or you can go for a Hadoken, or you can go for a charge, right? Off of this instance, right? And if you're correct, then you get your hit, and you also successfully get some data on your opponent. If you decide not to do this, right, after your confirm here, you can also go for a little driver situation, get back in their space and force another guess upon them. We can also go for an instance like that, right? But these are the things that we want to be thinking about afterwards, right? Because the choice that you chose here was just simply the walk back afterwards. And now walk back is good for bait and DP, but we're kind of at a beginning point in the game, so there's not really a point to really trying to check them on that instance. So instead of just walking back on the instance, try to be a little bit more aggressive, see what they like to do in that instance, and then kind of go from there. Okay, so one thing I see here already, I'm just keeping it as a note because this is something that comes up very often, is that when you're in situations like this, right, and you see them kind of walk forward, instant tech, right? This is delay tech. Now, delay tech is not bad, but the thing is that at this rank, it might start getting baited. Okay, so this is one thing I'm just going to point out there, and I'm just going to put it as a small note. And if we see it rear its head later on, I want to go back to this. Okay, so very fortunately, our opponent does not know any sort of drive gauge control. What does this mean? This means we can now take advantage of this. If we're able to get out of this instance, we can be very aggro. Now, the reason why here I would choose a little bit more of an aggro stance where I will be pressing buttons on wake up is because I'm not really afraid of this person. If this person shows me the fact that they're not even willing to control their meter, then it shows to me that they don't really have control over the things that's happening in the game, right? So then as a result, I'm going to take this opportunity to do whatever I can to get out of my situation, right? I'm not going to respect you if you show me that you don't have any self-control at all. If you show me that, then I'm just going to take advantage of that, right? I'm not going to be respectful of someone who, quite frankly, doesn't show me that they have discipline in the game. At this point in the game, all we have to do is find our hit, which we did find our hit, but we didn't hit confirm it, right? Crouch jab, DP, right? Or into donkey kick, and then that way we can just get our pressure started from there, right? If we're able to hit confirm this into another normal, right, we can get into this, right? Put them in a situation where they have to deal with this, and then we can be a little bit more aggro and then go for a finish like that, right? The key is that because you have Hashogeki, you want to find opportunities to get in those ranges where you can start bullying them with this, right? That way, if they try to press anything or try to do anything, then we can blow it up. Okay, so you got away with this, but this is something that you guys need to learn when you're fighting modern. Okay, when you're fighting modern, think of it as a player that is very successful at doing their crouching heavy punches. Okay, when you are fighting a modern player, they are going to have DPs, and dare I say, they're going to depend on their anti-air DPs to get a lot of their offense started. So if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you need some help. Lord knows I did at some point. But here's the thing, you want your favorite content creators to come and help you, but let's be real, they're charging like $60 per hour. You don't need that, but when I got you good. Over on this channel, I do free coaching sessions on Tuesdays and on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. EST. So what does that look like? I essentially go over your matches. I give you tools so that you can succeed the next time you open up rank. So once again, join my Discord. Wait till I'm live either on Tuesdays or on Thursdays 6:30 p.m. EST. Be there or be square. Back to the video. So how do we manage this? We manage this by simply exiting out this option here. The more we try to jump in this instance, the more opportunities they give us to DP, anti-air, and then put us in an even worse situation, right? As long as we're giving them the opportunity to do this to us, it's making our lives that much more difficult. Okay, so exit out this option. Jumping becomes an option that you show. If you were to show an option, maybe let's say 5 times in a round, okay, you reduce that by 4. Okay, what that means, like per round, we're only trying jump once. That's how little I want you to jump when you're dealing with a modern player. Because if you're dealing with a modern player, it's going to be anti-air DPs out the wazoo. And if you're uncomfortable with that, if you want to complain about that, sure, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm telling you the truth. If you try to keep jumping in on your opponent, you're just going to get blown up for it. Now, this guy in particular, Grassfed, is not doing jumping all too often, which is good, but I'm just letting that be known for other players that are trying to learn how to fight modern. Okay, so a couple things that I've seen here that are kind of going unchecked. This is jump 1, okay? Jump 1, after he lands, you go for the low forward, no follow-up afterwards. You see them go towards you, again, no follow-up towards it. What I'm seeing is just like a lack of reaction to any sort of air movement at all. Perhaps you're afraid of dive kick, but you need to be more confident in your MDPs. Now, at the rank that you are at, you are absolutely going to need to have that in order, because if your opponent keeps trying to jump at you or whatever have you, if you can shut down dive kick and or the hooligan mix-up, then it makes your life that much easier. They have to play a lot smarter, and it requires a lot more out of the player that perhaps the player has at this current junction. Now, this is the other thing you need to be ready for, okay? When you're playing your opponent that has a full send, right? When your opponent has a full send option, you have to be ready to check it, because if you don't check it, then you're essentially allowing your opponent to get away with stuff. And when you allow your opponent to get away with stuff, it makes your life that much harder, right? We don't want to be giving them opportunity. It's fairly easy to stop as long as you're aware that that's an option, right? It does give you enough time to react to it. That way, when you see it, you react to it accordingly and you get enough value out of the situation, right? Alrighty, let's talk about drive gauge management, okay? So, while we're in the corner, we're trying to fight out this situation, we are aware of how much drive gauge we currently have. So what does this mean? While surveying the board, which I always say to do, you need to know what type of confirm you're going to go for in the case that you get your hit. So in the case that you get your hit, if you're in a situation like this, you're going to tell yourself, in a situation, I will confirm without using drive rush. Whatever that looks like. If that means you're pressing crouching medium kick into DP, so be it. If that means jab jab donkey kick, so be it. If it means jab jab DP, so be it. But the thing that we are not going to use is use this drive gauge in order to use it, or at the very least, not a drive rush cancel. Okay, so that is the type of mindset that I need you to use going forward. In this instance here, what you decided to do instead off of this hit is go for a drive rush. Now this puts you at a deficit because there are two things that suck here. Number one, you no longer have drive gauge. Number two, you're low on health. Okay, what does that mean? That means while this combo might do maybe this much damage, it also means you're now in a situation where you have no drive gauge and you have to survive the next couple of seconds. And if you don't know how to deal with Cammy, especially when you're in burnout, then you're gonna ask for quite a bit of trouble. But the main two things here are the fact that you are not looking at your resources, and based on the resources you have, this is putting you at, you were already down because you were low on drive gauge and you were low on health, but now that you have 0 drive gauge and low on health, worst combination to be in as of this junction. So instead of burning ourselves out here, what we will decide to do is A, take the advantage. Okay, what does the advantage mean? That means we're putting them in a situation where we're now in the corner, and then we can essentially bully them however we want to do so, right? Now they're in a situation where they have to guess against you. But the important part is you're putting them in a situation where they have to guess, as opposed to simply just leaving it up to the wind on whether you'll get a confirm or not, right? Let's say in the instance that you would kill, right? In the instance that you would kill, yeah, granted, you would take a route that would kill, right? Obviously. But in the case that you're low on drive gauge and you have the corner position, taking this would be the number one priority in this instance, as opposed to going for something like that, right? And then of course we can bully them and then make them guess on whatever situation you want them to guess on, right? But these are things that you have to keep in mind because you do not have the resources to be drive rush canceling otherwise. Okay, so another instance where if you're playing, so as of so far, you have been doing a decent job of keeping your opponent out. That is good. I appreciate that, right? We're using our normals, we're using donkey kick to keep them out of range. This, by the way, is a great opportunity to punish your opponent, right? Because if your opponent knows that you throw something like this, they should know that they can't press something else or they'll get punished for it, right? If you're really nice with it, I'm sure you can get a whole hit confirm off of it. But the thing is that at the very least, you should be punishing a decision like that, right? Put them back out and then continue to zone them, right? This is the types of things, especially when using donkey kick, that's going to be one of the things that you're going to be looking for, right? Because after donkey kick, there's not really much you can do after that instance, right? There's not really much buttons you can press or whatever have you, right? There's nothing you can really do in that instance. So at the very least, after you press donkey kick, you're looking for an opportunity to whiff punish if the opponent decides to press something immediately afterwards, right? Then we get our charge, and then we can go back to the same game plan that we were doing before. Now, if your opponent decides to do something like that, we're also ready to punish it. And that is the key thing that I wanted to talk about in this instance, is that when you're playing this neutral here and you're playing very defensive, you need to be ready for neutral skips, okay? Neutral skips is how a lot of players, when they're uncomfortable, they're going to try and force their way in. We need to actively deny this stuff. Okay, this is what I need you to do, okay? I know you're doing your wiggle back and forth game and whatever have you, walking back and forth. But this is what I need you to do. I need you to be a little bit more aggressive. Why do I need you to be more aggressive, right? In this instance here, we know that she don't have very much drive gauge left, right? We know that she doesn't have much drive gauge left. We know that. So I'm going to be a little bit more forceful when it comes to burning their drive gauge out, just because I want to make sure we get that opportunity, right? I'm going to use options like solar plexus, right? One option that we haven't seen from you is just raw drive rush. right? And in instances like this, raw drive rush into standing heavy punch is a very good viable option, just because that'll burn them out without burning yourself out. It's a very good option. Another option available, it would be like a heavy or medium donkey kick. Ensure that they get burnt out, right? We want to be forcing that situation on them, because now we can start a situation like this. We can be a little bit more aggressive, right? We can even walk back, see if they want to attack, and then go from there, right? We want to be aggressive because we want to burn them out. Because once they're burned out, now we can do our silly little string and bully them, right? And make sure their lives is a living hell and win. There's another case where I was mentioning it, where you're simply just autopiloting and you're not focusing on the options she has available. This is one of the options you need to stop. This right here is one of her bread and butter things to do in nearly every matchup. And if we're able to slow this down, now she has to play a little bit more neutral with us. She has to actually engage with us. But if you don't stop this, then it's party time for her. We don't want to give her party time. We want to party. This is the last thing I'll say regarding this specific game here. One thing that you do, and it is becoming more and more apparent with your gameplay style, is that you're always in the corner. Okay? What does that mean? It means that whenever you're fighting, you're not taking ground, you're just trying to hold the small vestiges of ground that you have. You're not taking any space, right? After you look, look, this is a perfect instance, right? So you get the EX fireball, and instead of walking forward and taking more ground away, you just decide to lock in with another fireball, thus securing the fact that you will remain in this corner, right? We're so focused about walking back and just trying to survive that we're not taking any space back. I guarantee you, if we look at your data, the time in the corner versus the time cornering an opponent, which you can see that in your bio, it'll all be focused upon you being in the corner and you not having your opponent in the corner. You keep walking back. I don't know what you're afraid of, right? Perhaps it's just afraid of getting hit, but you're spending so much time in the corner, it makes the guessing situation worse. So you're technically making it worse for yourself by being afraid of your opponent. Take space, walk forward. Let's talk about this instance here. We had a stroke of good fortune. They're in the corner, right? They wake up DI. Okay, pushes you back. Cool, you didn't react to it. Although at this point, we should be reacting to DIs. They've shown it to us too many times. Cool, we're gonna blast past it. We talked about it. Okay, then we do EX Fireball into DI. My question is, why? Okay, you did EX Fireball. Let's see what happens afterwards. They went for a neutral jump. Okay, the neutral jump would literally get no value if you didn't super commit to something, and then now they got value out of it. See, now you got infected with the DI bug. What you DIing for like this? Okay, you want to hit them back with a DI. You're frustrated that you're getting hit with a DI. You want to get out that frustration, then win the game. Okay, stop trying to DI them back like this is going to give you some sort of satisfaction. Like, haha, I got them, brother. No, because you're gonna lose. Listen, I see the writing on the wall. You're going to lose. This option is going to cause you to lose more than it's going to cause you to win. You want to know why they don't use it that often at the higher levels? Is because this is reactable. This is what we call giving your opponent an easy access to 30% of your health bar. And that's before supers. We don't want to give this to them. Okay, this option, we need to cut it out. And if we're only using this option because we're frustrated, we need to gain some mental fortitude. Okay, and not give them the opportunity to punish us for free. There you go again, mashing on DI. What you mashing on DI for? Mash your sweep too, right? Where's your solar plexus, right? After this, right? Instead of mashing sweep tice, right? Instead of going for these options, instead of mashing on that, why don't we choose other options? Like, why don't we pull up on them? What? right? Why don't we take space from them? Why don't we use some of our other options? Why don't we use solar flexes, right? Why don't we use some of the options that we have available to us, right? As of right now, you're not using any of his tools. You're just letting her do whatever she wants. Use the tools that you have, right? Use some of the tools that you have. Overall, I'll say this. I'll call it here because I've basically been over everything that you need to work on as of right now. Is that one thing that I'll say, the main important thing that you need to take away from this is the fact that you walk yourself back into the corner way too much and you don't try to take space back at all. Beginning of this final round here, you get pushed to the corner. Cool, that happens, right? It happens. Okay, after this, there's no space trying to be taken. We spend the whole round in this corner. We don't try to jump out. We don't try to react to anything. We just stay here literally the entire time to be bullied. You might be saying, hey, Noza, well, how do I get out of this situation? Well, in those cases, if you really want to get out, right? When did we see this option, right? When did we see that? We didn't see that, right? We didn't see wake up DP, right? When did we see any sort of like wake up option? When did we see try to wake up, jump out the corner, right? Instead of trying to always jump back in the corner. When did we see wake up forward, right? When did we see any of that? Take more space, get out the corner, right? When did we see any of that? You're not showing any defensive options here. You're just basically trying to survive. The entire time you're trying to survive. If they went for a neutral jump, ideally, boom, okay? Take space, right? Take space. Take space. Get yourself out the corner, take space. Right now, you're not taking any space. You're walking back the entire time and you're getting stuck because of it. With that being said, any questions?